Hello, David. It's spiritual reflection time again.
Yeah, good morning, Randall. Ready for
Uh,
another year to come. And
oh my gosh, yeah, we're at the edge of something here between one thing and the next. So that's really a really exciting time, and I think we can take and use it to our advantage and set intention and be purposeful and mindful and make 2026 a very powerful year.
absolutely, it is within the power of our choice to choose to move forward in a more evolutionary way of looking at the future for us all.
Well, what I know in numerology, 2026, I've heard you say is a one. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure, using the numerology, which is the Pythagorean scheme, you just take all the series of the numbers until you find a root number. So when you take 2026, you have two. Of course, a zero is important in a number because it's potential. A
Okay.
zero can become anything. So we've got a potential right in the middle of the two, 0, 2, 6, which
Uh-huh.
is 4, 6 is a 10. And then you add that, 1 plus 0 is a 1. Now, a lot of us have been taught that 7 is completion if you've been taught more from a Christian biblical. But that was because of the superstitious idea there's only 7 planets and of the time. So that was not accurate. But in numerology, if you go to 9, then you start at 10, which is a new one. It's not the
Okay.
same one, but it's a new one. So it's a beginning one. So here we are with this powerful numerology uh, behind us, this energy of the one to really have a new beginning. And boy, do we need a new beginning at this time.
Yeah, there's so much kind of chaos and unsettledness in everybody's spirits right now and in their lives. Uh, and you're saying that last year was a nine, 2025 added up equals a nine, and that 2026 added up is a 10, but then one plus zero equals one.
Right, right.
And the zero kind of represents the potentiality of anything's possible. It can become
Mhm.
anything. And
Absolutely.
and if we transfer that to our lives, that means we can set intention and move forward with a new idea of how we want to create ourselves.
Absolutely. So I thought today I would tell anyone who hears our conversation that it's a really wonderful time to take a pause and to not react about the next year based on last year. But we
Okay.
need that point that I call a pause or a sacred pause. Some people call it a still point, but it is the place in which you come out of a new. Now, I don't know that I want to forget last year in the way of forgetting it because I want to learn from it. So as
Okay.
we look at it from that point that you're talking about, that edge that we're at, and look back for just a moment and say, okay, what have I learned from this last year that I don't want to take into the new year that's not serving? So we need visionaries, I think is what I'm talking about. We need people with a new vision of what 2026 might look like based
Yes.
on what it has been, especially in 2025, which has been a very challenging year for many of us who have not been in alignment and agreement with a lot of things, especially politically. So it's time for us to realize that we hold the power to co-create the next year.
Mhm.
But we got to have a vision. You know, it says without a vision, the people perish. So
Yeah.
I would say meditate, contemplate, and wait for the vision of what it is that you want to be a part of in 2026.
Okay. And being that uh, last year was such a reactionary year, everyone's been sitting in reaction. at least, and it's been building for the last couple of years, and constantly in react mode, survival, fight or flight has been risen to an all-time high within our culture and the entire world.
Absolutely. This is planetary. This is not just America. It's not just you, us, who live in a certain location or space, but this thing is affecting everybody on the planet, which is a wonderful thing in a way that you realize that not a certain segment of us can make this transition without each other. Everybody is involved at some level, no matter what your belief, what your religion, what your political persuasion, or anything that has made us different from each other and separate, is now going to join us in this time of responsibility to co-create.
Well, one of the things you mentioned just a moment ago that I think is one of the most powerful things that you've shared many times with regard to anything is to contemplate. And to me, that's a form of meditation. It can be a calming around the idea of contemplation. Share more about that as a tool that people can walk away with today.
Yes, I've always thought that we should talk more about contemplation before meditation. Um, but it's just an ability to go into a state of consciousness which we are non-judgmental. So we're not judging anything particularly right or wrong, good or bad, but we're
Yes,
holding it kind of in a neutral place. Now,
yes,
the reason that I say do that is because everybody thinks that what we need is outside of ourselves. We need a new government. We need a new religion. We need a new educate. But really what we're looking for is already in us as a potential. It's a spiritual pattern that is deeply within all of us, ready to be awakened from within ourselves. And I think that's an important thing that we realize that we are not victims, but we are participation in that. So if you hold it, what I'm saying, in contemplation, and it's already in you, you're creating a space for it to show up in consciousness. So
you
maybe
are.
there's people listening to us today that's not sure, how do I really go forward into the next year? How can I participate in it? Contemplate it. Don't immediately attach a reaction to it, but stay in that neutral place and wait for your inner wisdom, higher
Mhm.
self, or whatever you want to call it, to start coming forth and give you some direction on how that you want to go forward and where you want to invest your energy in 2026. But I do say we all need to be participating uh, in what is to come.
Yes. Yeah, I tell you a little tool that I use. I use a yellow tablet or a piece of paper of any kind, and usually at the end of the year I'll put down what my desires are on one side, and I draw a line and I put my doubts and fears on the other side. And then once I've moved that energy out of my thoughts, down my arm, as I tell people, and out the end of an ink pen onto a piece of paper, it becomes more real. I can look at it. It's not just a thought anymore. I've put it somewhere, and that kind of releases it out of my thinking. And I tend to calm, and then I'll sleep on that
Yeah,
for a couple of days before I start doing anything um, as far as actionary, toward
that's
creating
good.
what I desire. Um,
Yeah.
so that's a little something I'll bring in as an exercise for contemplation.
Absolutely. That's excellent. I totally agree with that. And I hope those that might be hearing us will join us into that consciousness of non-judgment or reacting to what we think it might go, what it might what it's going to be based on what has been. And
Yes.
let's disrupt the patterns of the old with new thoughts and new patterns and new ideas and visions.
Amen. I think it's been a really good talk this morning, and that we've shared with people, what we feel and what we hope for them for 2026. Is there any final thoughts you might want to share?
Well, it's just a joining together of a consciousness to reach a critical mass level that causes shifts. And we can all feel our individual responsibility, but we should feel our connection together. And that's one thing the internet is very positive to me about is the fact that we can link together much easier today than not just being in each other's physical presence, but we can come together in consciousness no matter where we are, who we are, or our location, or where we're coming from.
Well, and we'd like to welcome everybody in 2026 to step into Wednesdays with us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time for spiritual reflections with David Hulse and myself, Randall Loop, and the Academy for Spiritual Awakening. So we're here each and every Wednesday live, for everybody.
Thank you, Randall.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Okay, Randall, you can unmute your